you guys are going to get first dibs on that, and allow you guys to set up on that. So,
yeah.
But I will leave that at that. And like I said, we will, if you're interested in that, there's going to be a landing page coming up this week. Just register your interest and we can send over all the details. And like I said, it's monthly payouts. You get your own payment links, everything like that. And yeah, cool. So let's look at some of the charts today then, guys. What are you guys thinking? What are you liking?
The only one I was looking at that I missed, I think I mentioned it on Friday, was pound yen. Like I had kind of had it mapped out where I was possibly looking to take an entry, but we kind of like tapped into like a zone I had marked, but it just ran away really quickly. And it was similar to pound dollar, like sort of late in the New York session, we just reacted off a zone and just pushed away. So I kind of like, there wasn't really enough confirmation to take an entry, and it moved nearly 100 pips, and it literally like just tapped into my zone and just left a huge pin bar. But yeah, I've kind of like, I quite like pound yen. I think when you look on the higher time frame, it's still like really bullish. I think even if you look on like the weekly candles, I know obviously we've had a new monthly candle start, but I think even if you look on the weekly time frame, I think we've still got room to tap into like the 145 mark.
Yeah, 100%, man, 100%.
If you kind of look left, the only sort of resistance that we cleared was the 140 mark, and we pushed through and kind of retested that on the lower time frames. But now on the weekly, there's a clean bearish candle that ranges from 137 to 145, and it's literally just clean traffic up to that area. So I think however long it takes to get there, I think there's a really nice move up to 145.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, mate. I think GJ looks great. I think it's going to give us a little bit of playing around, and the only reason why I think it's going to give us a little bit of playing around, so I'm trying to share my screen now. How do I do my whole desktop screen? Here we go. So obviously from a first point of view, we were just going to look at the speculative positionings. So let's look at GB first then, because that's something that we want to look at. So obviously we can see that GB, you know, there's still net longs being positioned on GB. Now, this has been a weekly increase now for the last 4 or 5 weeks on the COT report. So they're not pulling shorts, they're actually adding longs to GB. And for the first time, I've mentioned this before, but for the first time since April, they're bullish GB, you know, and the number of net positions they have currently long, there's still a lot of room to increase it as well. So that's why we're seeing a lot of GB strength. And for this week moving forward, I actually would prefer to be buying pound than euro, purely because of the fact that it still seems to be early days on the funds going net long GB. So I think it does have a little bit more room to go, especially when you compare the figures of euro where they've trimmed 15K, you know, that's a clear profit taking that's going on here. Whereas, as I said here, GB, it's a straight increase, and that's been increasing week on out. When we look at JPY though, this is why I think it's going to give us a little bit of, I don't think it's going to be a straight on buy. You know, I think we have to be a little bit cautious on it. Although, like you said, the structure is very bullish. With JPY right now, we can see that they've actually increased the net longs by quite a bit. So funds are starting to go a little bit more bullish on JPY. So if we look at GJ, where we are. You know, I think this is a fantastic target long term for GJ up here. You know, like you said, Max, 145 is a clear run, and we have remained technically, you know, this is a level we have to beat and close above.
Yeah.
Right. So we look at that price dynamic range there. So ideally, we go down to the daily. You know, we are in beautiful buying territory, let's be honest with you. But I think what it's going to do is we're going to get a bit of consolidation and mess around down here until, you know, we come into some form of contact with this trend line support here. Because the only thing that keeps me worried is if we draw our Fibonacci's as well from swing low here up to our highs here. you know, it has tapped the 62, but I do think that in the week to come, it will pull back a little bit. Oh, where's my little arrow? I think we're going to come up. Ooh, sorry. I think what we're going to see is we're going to come up, because what you often get, this is how you always have to be careful with fibs, is sometimes you'll get a bounce on the 62 fib. Hey, sorry, my internet just cut out for some reason. Where did I cut off?
You were looking at GJ and you're about consolidation before we, and are you about to draw Fibonacci as well?
Okay, so I've drawn the fibs here. So this is where I think that we're going to have to look for buys back down here on another retest of the 62. Because what I think what you often find is when fibs do bounce on the 62, this is the first hurdle for us always. It's always the 0.26, 0.236 fib. More often than that acts as quite a strong support coming out of it. Resistance. So what I think is we'll get a movement like that, and then that will give us that will be a much more, in my mind, supportive structure on a bullish viewpoint. You know what I mean? Because then we would have a bit of a W and a double bottom forming on the support line. So GJ, I think that would be a good play for the week to come. It's just to see if we can get an entry down here, 100%. Let me just, if we can get an entry down here, then that would be fantastic. But I think we will range a little bit midweek, just in between these areas here. Don't forget tomorrow as well, it's Labor Day in America. So it's going to be a super slow session.
I don't think anyone can see your screen, Andrew.
Oh, shit.
I've just realised.
Have I just been talking to myself? That's
yeah,
sorry.
but you just realised. That looks good,
yeah.
guys. Perfect. That will do.
So that's what I'm basically trying to explain here. Sorry about that, guys. You should have probably said that to me about 10 minutes ago, man. I was just blabbering on to myself.
It's taken me a good 2 minutes to clock on. I'm like, you're baffling away and I can't see.
Yeah, no. So this is what I mean. This 0.236 fib, this is where I think we're going to find some resistance coming into the new week. Until we come back down and we find another support structure down here on the 50 fib at least, with the confluence on this trend line here, right? Because then, like I said, we'll have a much more bullish structure forming in the shape of a W on top of the support there. So I don't want to jump the gun on GJ, just purely because of, like I said, the COT reports. JPYs might have a bit of fight in it this week. So GJ looks good for that. That's how we're gonna mark up GJ. GBUSD, you know, I think we're pretty much in this trade to just hold it now, guys. I think we may get a re-entry in the new week if we can just find some support. Let me just move this here. If we can just find some support along this 50 Fibonacci here, we may be able to get an early entry. If you wanted to get another entry, because I know some of you guys didn't take the GB trade because I did say it was quite high risk, obviously, with NFP. So if we can find some more clear, you know, support above this dynamic price range here and the 50 fib, even if we come back down here, let me get rid of this, and we retest our trend line structure one more time here, again, that would create a nice W, right? Because we'd come down here, we'd create a new higher low, and then we could see the breakout opportunity from there. I think that looks good. I think we got in perfectly down here. We're pretty protected on our entry, because if it was to break down any further, then it will more likely than not just become a little bit more of a bearish market in my mind. So I think our entry is pretty protected there. If we get that nice W formation, then I would be looking to maybe add longs once we break these highs again. If we can break above these highs, then, you know, it's a good position to take long. But, you know, from a target objective as well, you know, I don't think we're stretching too far here. I think GB could definitely, you know, even at least come up to here to retest this wick here, right? Which is pretty much, you know, I'll take majority of my profits there, to be completely honest with you guys, because what we'll find there is obviously prices reacting to the new high, and we could see a very sharp sell-off there as well. You know, we saw that with EJ when we were trading it. It broke new highs, and then the market just pulled it straight back down to entry. So from a target perspective, from GU that we're in, I think, you know, let's be conservative and, you know, think about these levels here even. And like I said, this 23 fib can always be a headache. But that still gives us a great movement. You know, still 150, 260 pips in that move there. So I'm comfortable to hold GU. I like that one. GA, you know, let's get rid of that. Again, I still think we're going to break out here, break out of this bearish channel forming here. Again, let me look at the COT reports quickly. Let me just move this. If we look at AUD, so shorts are trim. So again, it's going to be, you know, this is going to be a tough one to trade because we do have some AUD strength coming in as well. So you can see that by the, you know, where is it here? The shorts are trimmed by 4K. So funds didn't add necessarily anything to their longs. However, they did start to close shorts on that, which does make sense when we look at some of the like AUD. You'll see it in AUD specifically because when you look at these speculative positions, we always need to remember this is against the dollar. So this is euro dollar, GB dollar, dollar JPY, or JPY dollar. Everything in these reports is against the spot dollar. So we need to keep that in mind. What I would like to see on GA, should we, you know, I think we need to be quite conservative with this one, just because it's been a bloody headache to trade. If we entered here, like we looked at last week, you know, we would have been really in a good position there. Should we break out of these highs here? I'd like a retest on our channel structure here. If we draw our fibs, you know, where's the next resistance marker here? I'd probably say around here, right? I think that's where a breakout will lead to, purely because we have these levels of resistance and support here. So should GA actually break above these highs, I think that's where we're going to find some initial resistance to come back for the retest. And should that happen, you know, we're in a good position here with a nice confluence. You can see how the Fibonacci levels are confluencing quite nice. Obviously, this is completely just predictive right now because this hasn't happened. But if we do get that, then I think there's a good opportunity within that beautiful area there to get in long, and then see how this fib, which we've just drawn from this low to this imaginary high, we can see a nice confluence up here of, this is our swing. So the -1 on the Fibonacci is always the swing of the move. So if it's a full correction move and it makes the full swing, that's, you know, that's the swing move. And we can see that it's also the confluence of this fib from this breakout low here to this initial breakout. So if we bought down here as an example, if we bought on the 62 fib down here, you know, that would have been the best entry we could have got in terms of positioning ourselves long. You know, yes, it's a bit of a longer stop loss, but we have to remember, you know, risk to reward on that is already sick, you know, and that's just breaking out to the first Fibonacci extension of this bullish leg here. And that usually gets hit, right? That's usually always target one, and target one usually always gets hit. So we can see here this nice confluence, right? So if you're a buyer, you're going to be looking for your profits. And if you're a seller, you're going to be looking to get in there to at least get the pullback in. So that would be, you know, a nice little move if we could get that move in there. In my mind, that would be beautiful. GBHF, again, you know, I'm a bit annoyed about this. I had the markup. I wanted to get in long, but it literally just gave us this one touch, and then it just went straight through the roof. But you can see how it's hit objective here, right? Which is the swing from this low to this breakout high. When you guys are trading your Fibonacci swings, you can literally just get in on the 62 fib. If you put your stops below the last low like this, and you aim for the negative 6.2 extension, you're always going to get a 3 risk to reward, which is a fantastic trade, right? You're always going to get that. This to here, which is your first target, is always a 2-to-1. So minimally you're targeting, and this is the same example when we did GB CAD. Let me just find GB CAD. You know, yes, it didn't continue on, but we got our initial targets up here, right? And we can see how it found perfectly bounced on the negative 2.7 extension of both fibs. So that was a beautiful confluence there. We caught that. That was quite a good little trade there. But always when you're doing your fibs, like that's the best way to level it up for sure. I'm not trading GN. I don't trade GN. It's not a pair that I've ever really looked at. You can probably see by the markup, there's nothing really there that's interesting. So let's look at the dollar index quickly, and then we're going to look at euro. So first thing we're going to look at is obviously our euro longs getting trimmed here. So in my mind, you know, we're going to be looking for shorts moving into next week, just because I think it's overcooked and it's ready for a pullback to find some sort of new liquidity, right? Looking at the DXY, yes, we had this huge bearish reversal candle. Lagged out there. You know, we had this huge bearish reversal candle. However, my only thing is that, you know, that last 4 hours, you know, that was quite an aggressive move. But I'm hoping what you often see on Fridays is you'll see some strength before weakness, because this move here on this bounce on support is going to catch a lot of people wanting to go long dollar pairs. Like I'm sure after NFP, how many people were selling, you know, and GB found massive support. Euros found support so far, but we could see the dollar push out higher here. But, you know, this level here, the 933 level is our key level to maintain beneath right here. If we can maintain beneath that level, then I don't see any reason why the dollar shouldn't come down and at least retest that level before maybe finding some support to break out. But that's, you know, we're still very much inside both channel structures here. So we have this huge descending channel structure here, and then we have this mini descending channel structure here as well. So we're still very bearish on the dollar. It's failed to break any of these highs here. So it's essentially just formed its new lower high here. And if it comes down, we could see maybe come down to touch trendline structure down here to create one last lower low. But if we look at the Euro USD, we can see how that transpires here looking at the daily, right? So we're actually in quite a bearish correction structure here, purely because what we found is we've got an ascending channel forming here, right? So obviously anything to do with an ascending channel often is a sign of buyer exhaustion. So for me, what I'm going to be looking for Euro USD, if I just mark up this level. I've already got it marked up actually on small time frame. Essentially what I'd like to see is a breakout, a breakdown at least. If we go to our weekly, what we can look for. One second, just frozen. Or do you guys want to look at metals? Is there any other pairs? Is there any pairs that you guys specifically want to have a look at?
I was looking at Euro Yen shorts. Looks like could shape up next week. Looks quite good, but it's similar to Euro USD. It's just been on a huge bull run for weeks, but looks like the buyers seem to be. It was kind of like we're in the position last week. We hit new highs and just had a huge sell-off, but I think there's definite downside in Euro Yen, 100%.
I agree. Again, like everything else, I think it just needs, you know, it's technically could be forming a double top here, right? So if you wanted to get short on Euro Yen, we would need to see a break of these lows here. These lows here, and then, one second. I'd want to see a break of these lows here, and then a retest of this area of support turn resistance here, right? But the only thing is, we do have these really strong levels here, this huge support structure here. So I think that, you're going to be quite limited on the short. If you wanted to short it, that's where you wanted to short it. I think we're too late on the short right here. If we get a retest up to here, these levels here, and we find some bearish pressure, then yeah, okay, we could potentially get short into it there. Because I do think that it needs to come down to retest this level of support down here to find more buyers. And we could actually find ourselves ranging between the two areas. So from a risk to reward perspective, if we can get a retest up here and we put our just above that last wick there, that would be our best opportunity for sure. And then obviously smaller targets down to here. It's a longer trade obviously because you're trading daily charts here. But I think that would be a good move to try and get short in up from this resistance area here. So I'm going to add a little alert up here.
I always dream I put you up.
All right, so that's what I would look for your JPY. What do you think, Max? Would you agree, you guys?
Yeah, definitely. I think you can even see on the daily we seem to be bouncing off. I don't know if that. Like there's even just looking across there.
This level here, right? So we can see that it's found support. So
seems to be reacting off that level. So I think if we can get another push to the upside, it gives a better risk reward. But then again, even if we push to the upside, it could push through and break what was the new weekly high last week. I think either way, if we do push up, we could get a short opportunity if price action shows the right opportunity, or we could wait for the break of a weekly high to then go even longer into like possibly pushing 130 territory. So I think you've got two options available.
Well, if we look at our weekly fib, right? Oh, I don't know why. So this is these areas. So when we're doing and we're looking at bullish inducement or we're looking at anything like that, what we want to see, this huge leg that we had here on the weekly, the only area of price action which I'm looking at right now is this one red candle down here, right? Because this one red candle basically shows that was the last week of indecision in the market before it went bullish, So this little red candle down here is where we can make the assumption that the changeover of hands basically happened from shorts to longs. So in a dream world, what would be fantastic, because we've drawn our fibs here, we can see it lines up nicely with our 75 and our 79 fib, but even the 61 Fibonacci down here would be the top of that supply and demand area down there, right? So if we got a short up here, and you never know, right? You could hold a position that could potentially come down to retest there before finding buyers. You can see this is still a very strong level here across the board, So I do like getting short euro up here. Obviously, eurozones, or like they've obviously talked about how they're not concerned yet. But the thing with the euro is they like to manipulate their currency. It's they want a weaker euro because they want better exports and everything like that, right? They want more people buying from them. So I know they expressed that they weren't worried about it yet, but they are keeping an eye on it, right? Which is why when we saw Euro USD pierce 1.2, which is a massive level, it's not really a surprise to see the change of hands from net longs to net shorts on the fund side, because I mean, how much higher can they push price until it's like a bit ridiculous, So Euro JPY looks good from there. Euro CAD, I just got this completely wrong. Disaster. Kenya got it right though. So if she wants to share a chart, what she thinks, if she's on the call, it would be good to see. She nailed it last week, so I'll let her find her time if she wants to or not.
Hey guys. Yeah, I'm currently driving right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm currently driving, but I'll share what I had saw in the market. What was that, last week? For that Euro CAD, just so you guys can have perspective. But yeah, I'll just share it in the chat once I get back to my house.
Yeah, definitely. Drop it in the chat. We'll have a look at it for sure. But if this if this support holds down here, and we have a Euro CAD bounce here,
I was going to say EuroCAD looks really good for longs. I was literally like had kind of like a bullish flag sort of forming on like the 4-hour daily, and then yeah, if we can create a possible sort of double bottom.
I mean, it's definitely
in that area.
a flag for me here. I think I may have been a little bit too, because even if you draw the fib levels down, you can move your fibs all the time, right? And you always find there's some sort of area of support and resistance. So I may have been a little bit optimistic. Well, I may have measured my fibs wrong even by pulling it here. And you may have had to do it from this low down here. But the only reason until this, we need to make sure this low holds essentially, right? Because it's still still making lower highs and lower lows. So it's still bearish, right? So until we've held support here and created a new equal low, or even potentially we get a wick from here and it closes up here, then that technically could be counted as a new higher low. So I think until we see that structure forming on EuroCAD, then we're going to wait. But I don't want to be, as I said, I don't mind shorting Euro USD for a short-term trade, but overall, I want to stay long on Euro and just look at it as more as an opportunity of selling from the top and trying to buy the dips. Essentially, that's the best way to look at Euro right now. Aussie CAD, this I don't think this one's going to hold out. If it does hold out, we missed our stop loss there by what, like a pip, if that. What would be good for me is, I mean, CAD's been relentless, right? But let's look at our COT data again. Here, like I said, AUD is getting their shorts trimmed. So let's look at AUD as a whole. CAD shorts trimmed again. So this is against USD though as well, remember. So USD CAD, USD CAD could bounce a little bit as well. So that would work with the whole idea of Euro USD as well. But looking at AUD, they're taking their shorts away. So they're keeping their long positions open essentially. You can see even here in New Zealand, they've added their long. So they've increased their long exposure by 3K. So these two currencies obviously can go hand in hand a little bit in terms of looking at the market when it's against each other's pair. That's why we took this Aussie New Zealand short here as well, because we can see that New Zealand was holding up more strength. GDP in Australia was disastrous. There's been a lot more sort of tariffs on Aussies by China and all their barley exports and everything like that. So Aussie was going to fare off a little bit worse. But having a look at some of these Aussie pairs, they're lining up beautifully for longs. I mean, look at that on Aussie JPY. If we get rid of all this stuff now, we're out of this trade. But you can see, look at that here. We had this beautiful ascending triangle structure here with the trend line structure coming up here, equal highs being formed here, but buyers were not backing down, And then not only that, we had this, this false breakout here on this trend line structure here. That probably got a hell of a lot of people net short on Aussie JPY, right? All of us like retail traders. We would have seen a breakout. We had a retest there, and I bet you so many people went short on that. I nearly went short on it as well, but I held out. And we can see that it's come back inside trend line. It's completely smashed highs, and it stayed within this triangle structure here. We had this breakout from, let me just get my fib. We had this breakout from this low here to these highs here, and it's basically just come down. And that would have been the perfect opportunity to get long on that pair. Hopefully we may get an opportunity next week as well. We may get a bit of a pullback, but anything coming back into this trend line structure here, and also this 62 Fibonacci level, I'm looking to get long on that, I think. Because if we look at it from a daily perspective, we've still got some room here till we find any sort of meaningful resistance, right? Like we're looking more at this level up here. That's a level where we're looking to find some more meaningful resistance in the pair. And we can see how that level confluences beautifully with, oh, that's a short position. Confluences beautifully with our first target on the fib extension you know, and then second target up here on the fib extension. And we have that area of resistance sitting beautifully between those two fib targets. So that's what I would like to see on AJ, to be honest with you. I'd like to see, we're going to get a bit of, probably about 2 or 3 days down here of price action messing around because of JPY strength. But as long as this level holds here above these highs, you know, I'm looking to buy that into these new highs up here and this level of resistance structure here. That's my view on AJ.
Looks good.
It does look good, right? It looks like and this is what most yen pairs are looking like though, right? They've all broken out and now they're all retesting their structures. You know,
if you look at the COT report for the yen, I may have missed that.
Yeah, so the yen, they've increased their net longs by 6K.
That's what I thought. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay.
So last week they actually, so compared to last week they closed, they started trimming their net longs, but then there's obviously a shift and they've actually re-added more longs. So at present time, if we look at the COT reports and we can actually see,
Come on. Driving like a fucking Nimrod.
trading stuff. If we look at the yen data here, you can see that we're still quite neutral on data, but funds are still adding some more longs on there as well. So it'll be interesting to see how the week plays out, but I'm going to wait until Wednesday, I think, on most yen pairs, because that would give us, you know, one touchdown here. If we go into lower time frames down here, if there's an entry there, it's going to be on this level here, I think. So obviously, you know, we had the false break of this support structure down here. This is a 30-minute time frame, yes, but I'm not too worried about that because we had a low form, but we broke highs. So what we can expect to find is some resistance down here. So as long as this level holds on the daily closing basis, this level here, then I might get long on AJ for next week, for sure.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, right. It looks good for sure.
Even
AUD USD as well looks fantastic. It's getting long as well.
I'm actually already in that.
You're in it already? Hopefully we get a retest down here. I'd like to get in one more touch, you know, maybe if price tries to push this 4-hour wick a little bit. If price comes back down to push into this wick a little bit and then finds some support along the top here within this blue box, then, you know, the risk to reward on that is fantastic.
Yeah.
You know, straight into our targets up there. Beautiful risk to reward on that. And on the daily levels, you know, we can see that we're challenging the, you know, big level is this on the larger time frame. That's where I want this area here. You know, that double bottom, which was previous double bottom here, double top, sorry. This level of support, I'd like price to push into that. And again, you can see the confluence there with our 62 Fibonacci extension target and that level. So, I mean, I think that's the basic plan next week, guys. I think let's take it easy. Metals, let's look at metals quickly. I know someone wanted to talk about metals. I think I'm bullish metals, you know, massively bullish metals still. On a monthly level, you know, we closed back. We closed above these highs all the way here. Didn't even retest the structure down here. Looking on a weekly level as well, you know, we're still, if we go on to smaller time frame, I mean, we're still clearly in buying territory here, you know. I think that it's just going to take an early sell-off in the DXY. If we find resistance here and we see the DXY have a weak start to the week, then I don't see any reason not to get long on metals. I prefer silver to gold.
I agree.
I much prefer silver's in a perfect buying opportunity right now.
So good.
I mean,
silver is definitely set up for a buy for sure.
Yeah, silver's holding that level so hard.
Yeah,
it is.
Like,
what if we tested it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? Like that whole line is like full of support. So
Yeah, and also this here, right? It created a new higher high from this high here. So it's still holding.
mhm.
It's got, this low has not been broken at all. So market structure is still bullish. So if we can get along, we could probably even try and get, the risk to reward is so good that, we definitely come up to challenge these highs getting up to here, even potentially. First targets here. But I think if we can get some retest down here and just, play around a little bit more down here, then yeah, we could definitely get long. Same as gold. It's the same shit with gold, just a different color. We can see here, it's, now we've moved that trend line structure just so we're in that wicks there. You can see we've closed back above this trend line structure on this false breakout, right? People would have sold potentially on that trend line break there. And it's come back up. It's closed. No.
I'm currently in gold, actually. I got in right on that wick, actually. I got in at 1917. So originally, when I sent it in the chat, I was in at 1921. And then I closed out whatever pips I had made, like at that top wick of that red wick. It spiked up, and I just closed it. And then I waited till it formed a little bit below that little upward trend that you created, and I re-entered at 1917. So
yeah, beautiful. I mean, some of you guys caught really good entries. I know a couple of other people did as well. So I think it looks fantastic, man. I mean, and this plays in perfectly with the dollar fake out, right? Because this would have loads of people would have tried to start selling gold as soon as it broke down like this, and same thing with the dollar. We had this false breakout. So let's just watch the dollar, make sure we stay beneath 93. If we stay beneath 93 convincingly, then I think it would be safe to buy both metals 100%. So I'll look for an entry for myself next week. I'm not in any of them at the moment. But yeah, they look good. They look very good. But yeah, guys, I think we've covered quite a lot, to be honest with you. We've looked at our Aussie pairs. This is all recorded as well, so I'm going to put everything up in the trade video one. So I'll upload the whole video again if you want to rewatch it or anything like that. But I think we've got a good game plan going into next week. I think we've just got to wait and wait for the trades to show the entries to us. And but we've got a game plan. We know your GB I think is going to struggle next week. I think, it's crazy how strong the pound is, but seeing the positioning on the pound getting more bullish as well, it doesn't make a lot of sense. My internet's fuck. Did I cut off for a second?
Yeah, cut off for a moment. You're back now.
All right. I don't know. My internet's being really shitty, guys. Sorry about that. But I think EuroGB might struggle a little bit. I think it might provide a false break to the downside, and then kick back up for the week, potentially.
Yeah, I have my eyes on a short. That's only, can you guys hear me? That's only if it breaks below and retests below that support turn resistance line. If it doesn't and it breaks back above, then I'll take it off my list completely. I'm not really looking to have a whole bunch of Euro positions open, to be completely honest.
Honestly, for me, we got this Euro shift Swissy position going. I've moved my positioning on that to break even already, just so everyone's aware. But for me, this was a great trade. Euro hasn't broken out of this pair yet. It's broken out across every other pair. So I think that there's still a little bit of room for Euro Swissy to break out, because if we look at it on a weekly structure, we finally closed our first week outside of trendline structure here. And look how many weeks it tried. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks of consolidating beneath this weekly trendline structure. Yes, okay, we're in a strong level of resistance here, but that weekly close outside of trendline gives me faith that there's going to be enough buyers to bring it in this next range up here, which is where our target is essentially. So I like that still. but then, yeah, I mean, let's see, guys. I think we've looked at enough, or else we're going to end up analyzing full 29 pairs. But I think we have a good strategy going into next week on what we could be looking for. So, to summarize, we're looking for Aussie longs, we're looking for New Zealand longs, we're looking for potential short-term shorts on some euros, and long metals. Really, that's my game plan. UCAD's just been melting. I mean, this has been such a beautiful pair to sell, and I just haven't got in on any of it. Look at that, such a nice trending structure. But yeah, guys, is there anything else that you want to talk about? Is there anything else you want to discuss? Or it's getting quite late. It's 7 o'clock now on Sunday, so I think you guys probably want to go spend a couple more hours just chilling out before everything gets started tomorrow, right?
Looks good.
Yeah.
Good.
All right, let me just turn my camera on. All right, I'm back. I didn't know why my video was off as well. But yeah, guys, I think that's enough to look at. I think let's just keep the watch lists quite concise, not go shooting too many trades out, and just try and keep on top of it. But that's the game plan for the week, and I think that we're going to smash it this week. I think there's a lot of good opportunities there for sure. I think we've just got to be patient on them. Yep.
Perfect.
Yeah, I agree.
Thank you guys so much for jumping
And
on.
I'll share what I'm looking at.
Yeah, you guys, all of you guys, when you have charts, let's keep pumping the charts into the group, right? We're all here it's always good to get everyone's viewpoint. It's always good to see what everyone's doing. And, that's how we're all going to improve as a group, right? So.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Perfect, guys. Well, anyway, guys, listen, enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening. I will post this up for a rewatch, so we can, if you want to look at some of the setups or anything like that. And then, yeah, let's smash it this week. The university is going to be opening up next week. I was a little bit slow on that, guys. I'm sorry. It's a lot of content, and I just want to get it right. So I wanted to actually be valuable information rather than just stock standard stuff. So I'm going to start releasing all those videos tomorrow. So keep an eye out for that. It'll just be a tab like the live news tab. And then, like I said, the affiliate stuff, if any of you guys are interested in that, there will be a landing page. Just drop your email in there and we can just send you the information for you guys to review. And you can always just make a decision or if it's something you're interested in. Perfect. No worries, Lee May. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thanks a lot. I really appreciate coming on.
Have a good one, guys.
You too, guys. Have a great Sunday, everyone.